So we have a video. So Summer Lee got elected in Pennsylvania. Well, she held a state related seat, and now she is joining Congress. And basically, they're referring to her as another squad member. And let's go to the video first.
Let's go to the video first, yeah.
Representative-elect Lee, I want to congratulate you on your victory. I was just reading a bit about you and how this is how weird history is. Not only are you the first Black woman elected to the United States House of Representatives of Pennsylvania, but 4 years ago, you were the first Black woman elected to Pennsylvania's State House. That seems like that's very belated. But tell us what went into your victory. You beat a guy named Mike Doyle who was trying to replace a guy named Mike Doyle from the other party. Tricky on their part.
Yeah, that's their ploy. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I was the first Black woman from Southwest PA, which is a large portion of PA, but I don't want to take credit when we have a lot of sisters doing things in the State House. But, our victory really was grassroots effort, our movement spaces that has just worked for years to really center, working class people and common sense pieces of policy that folks care about that expands the electorate, be it movement, criminal justice reform, housing, environmental justice especially. But we've built and we've organized and we've brought in more people. And at the end of the day, those people came out and voted.
And what do you want to do in Congress? What are your goals?
Yeah, I think that right now, we have such an urgent moment, right? There's a reason why Black women have never been represented from Pennsylvania. And that is such a lacking perspective in not just Congress, it's a lacking perspective everywhere. But when we have that urgency of lived experience, right? Folks who actually have experienced what it's been to be working poor, what has experienced being in housing insecure, we just bring a different urgency. So those are the issues that I want to work on. I want to work on the issues that impact my community first and foremost, right? Be it housing justice, be it really environmental justice here where we have some of the worst air quality in the nation. I want to talk about environmental racism. I want to talk about racial justice. I want to talk about a living wage and make sure that we're passing the PRO Act so that working class folks have rights on the job. This is work that a lot of folks are doing. I'm here kind of as a part of the cavalry, but to bring in some reinforcements because we need louder voices and we need people who are going to fight with every tool we have these days.
So I want to pose a question here. So the problem with the squad is that they're not acting as a unit. That's the problem. They're not acting as a block. And that's how you lose the leverage you have. Because when you act as a block, well, then people know, well, we have to go to them to get what we want. If we don't give them X, they're not going to give us Y.
Strength in numbers. Yeah.
That's how politics works, especially when you're outnumbered and especially when you're in a duopoly. They're not doing that.
That's how collective bargaining works, period, right?
Right. So they're not doing that. That's a freaking problem. They need a leader and they need someone who is more concerned with building those coalitions and using that leverage than they are with Instagram streams. My question is Summer Lee, is there a chance, and I don't know the answer to this, but is there a chance Summer Lee could be that leader? I think that's the thing that folks should be asking and wondering. I don't know a ton about Summer Lee. But I have a lot of friends and colleagues still in Pittsburgh because it's my hometown. And a lot of them are excited about her. I don't know if she'll be that leader or not, but if she were to be that leader, that could be big because I think that if someone really stepped up and led, then they would have to start acting as a unit.
More cohesive,
and the ones who don't, they'd be more cohesive. And the ones who didn't get into that, they'd be the ones where it's just like, okay, so you're not really looking to do what you said you were going to do.
I think it's a fair question, Ron. Obviously, it remains to be seen. But I do believe that she has held some progressive positions, at least when she was campaigning. And we know that the Progressive Caucus isn't entirely full of progressives. There's a lot of moderates and sort of corporate Democrats within that caucus. Yeah. So it would make sense if you really want to, influence the Congress, influence the Democratic Party in a way to pull them to the left, you would need a more cohesive group that would be willing to come together as a block and stand up to Nancy Pelosi when they felt like they needed to, or Chuck Schumer when they felt like they needed to. And you're right, that is absolutely not happening right now. Bernie Sanders endorsed Summer Lee. He actually went out on a limb and, made a tweet about how AIPAC was, going after her because she's a progressive, right? And so, that conversation always ends up becoming just a fireball because AIPAC is, that's the Israeli lobbyist group, and they don't represent Jewish folks. They represent the state of Israel, right? So, but there's always a benefit for them to make a conflation that they represent Jewish folks, because then it sort of Teflon coats them from criticism, right? If you attack us, you're being anti-Semitic. So, Summer's sin was that she had the audacity to say that Palestinians are entitled to have rights too. And I agree with her on that. And I think you do too. And I know Bernie Sanders agrees with that position. And so, he took a lot of flack from that. And it's very, it's really annoying to me because, he's also Jewish. And when you get into a position where you're calling somebody that's Jewish anti-Semitic, it's not a good look. And that's sort of what it sort of where it kind of sort of devolves to. We saw the same thing happen with Adam Levine, right? So they went after him. He's Jewish. So there's people need to understand this. The Jewish community is not monolithic. Not all Jewish folks are Zionists. They don't all support the work that AIPAC does because they see them as a influential lobbying group. So, it's complicated, but so, Bernie Sanders endorsed her. She has spoken out for Palestinian rights. She is for Medicare for all. So the things that she has campaigned on.
She's for the right thing. It's just my question is will that translate into leadership? There's a lot.
I don't know.
I mean, we don't know. It's too soon to tell. I would love to see that happen. In her response there, I would have liked to have heard a few more concrete things. I would have liked if she would have said Medicare for all. But what I really liked is that she is being very outspoken about environmental racism. And I can tell you, in a place like Pennsylvania,
that's huge.
That's not easy. That's not easy to do. I mean, Pennsylvania is a place where a lot of people don't have the courage to even go up against fracking. I mean, John Fetterman backpedaled on it. Who knows where he stands? First, he wasn't for it. Now, apparently, he's for it. So, he wasn't really, he didn't really hold the line on that one. But Summer Lee is going after environmental racism as a whole, which in that area, I mean, that's a pretty bold thing to do. So I hope that really translates into, what she'll do when she's in Congress. Here's hoping.
Here's hoping. And we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I do think the potential is definitely there. Let's put it that way.